Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. Today we're checking out a used guitar from 2014. Don't worry, these guys, we'll see them likely on Friday for a quadruple feature Fender Friday. But today we're going to talk about the Pinstripe Hot Rod Gibson Les Paul Studio. So this was a model that was introduced in 2014. And that kind of like early 2010s period kind of birthed some interesting guitars. I mean, we're talking things like the SG Baritone, the Buckethead Les Paul, there was the Les Paul Peace, the Custom Light, as well as the Classic Customs and the Custom Classics, Les Paul Futura, like the ES LPs were coming out at this time. Don't forget the LPJ, you also had like the Les Paul CM. There were a bunch of really great models that had unique specs that kind of played off of each other, and this is one of those ones that I feel does not get a lot of attention, and I think it's because people don't realize just how much is special about this thing. So, yeah, here it is. I was kind of one of those guys that was never really that attracted to this one, but we found this in a guitar hunting episode at Guitar Center one night. So I picked it up and I am shocked just how much is different about this thing. I mean, first off, look at this. It is a pinstriping guy's dream. Personally, I'm not that big on pinstriping all the time, but I've kind of grown to like this. So that's the first thing you notice, the really blinding finish. You get the double white hot pickups in here. And I think the other thing that's immediately obvious is our rich light fretboard on this that has no inlays at all. There's some guys that really dig this. And for me, this just looks like a Buckethead Les Paul, but done up in a black and pinstriped finish. So I think it would be great for someone who can't afford the real Buckethead signatures. Just take one of these guys, refinish it white. I think it would actually look surprisingly good. It wouldn't be a baritone, but hey, the sacrifices you have to make to save some money. So we've got the immediately obvious things down out of the way, but what is a little bit more special about this guy? So first off, on our headstock here, a regular Les Paul Studio does not get a Gibson mother of pearl logo. This has that. So in my opinion, this isn't much of a studio, it's more of a standard. Pretty much the only spec that this thing does not have to make it a standard is binding along the body. It does have it on the neck, believe it or not. If you get up really close there, it has black binding. So most studios do not have binding. It's kind of peculiar they went to so much trouble to put black binding on it, but they did, so that makes it kind of special. But the biggest thing to know about these is they're chunkier than a regular Les Paul Studio. See how thick this is? So just looking down on it while playing, you can tell there's a sizable difference. I mean, it feels big and chunky. It's like immediately apparent as soon as you pick this thing up. But as far as some other special features, locking Grover tuners. The reason why that's special, I mean, not so special today, but back then, 2014 was that big year for like the mini tune, the whole robot tuner type thing. So this coming stock with locking tuners was like a breath of fresh air for a lot of people. However, it looks like one of my locking tuners might be broken. I'm not sure, we'll have to check that out in a minute. And also being a 125th anniversary model, most of the guitars made in 2014 had a 12th fret inlay that said 120th anniversary. People started to kind of hate it because it was on everything. So this not having all those bad characteristics of a 2014 model also kind of makes it interesting. All this for $1,649 brand new back in the day. These have actually maintained value pretty okay, and I think this video might actually get more people to appreciate them. I really don't think it should have been called a Hot Rod Studio. They should have just called it the Hot Rod and they probably would have sold a whole bunch more of these things. So I hope I've whet your appetite for wanting to learn more about this thing. We'll throw it on the workbench here in a minute. You're probably wondering what has gone on with our case here. Why is it turning colors? Sometimes that happens because of the glue. Other times it's due to owner negligence. This one, I mean, it doesn't smell bad, so it might just be the glue, but I really can't say for certain. But the case was made in Canada, and the only case candy we got with this is a little pre-pack checklist that was never filled out. So let's go ahead and throw this Les Paul Hot Rod on the workbench and take an individual look at its parts and specs. Inside the Hot Rod Les Paul. These pickups are the exact same thing that you find in the Buckethead Les Paul and the SG Baritones. Almost the exact same thing, and I say that because they are built on a quick connect system. But that means we have the 496R in the neck and a 500T in the bridge. And that means we have hot pickups, so about 15 k ohms in the bridge, neck position 8.36, and in the middle we have about 5.36. But another unique feature about these is it does not have coil splits. They call these taps. A quick explanation of the differences is a split takes out an entire coil of a humbucker, making it sound like a single coil, whereas a tap just takes out some of the windings of the coils. But we do have two push-pull pots on the system for the neck and bridge pickup. To give us an idea, let's see what it does to the reading of the bridge pickup. It takes it from 15 and keeps it at 15. Our neck position features the exact same phenomenon. It's either that or since this is a PCB system, it's not letting us get the full readings. Sometimes they're like that. But anyways, things are pretty basic here. Short neck tenon, you have a maple top and a mahogany body. Unfortunately, I could not find any specs about what type of weight relieving it might have. It feels solid to me, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have 9-hole weight relief either. Unfortunately, that's not something I can tell you, but we can see the maple top right here. I was scared I'd have to do some sanding, but thankfully the finish is opaque enough right here, unlike in some of these other cavities where it's a little bit more solid. Moving on from our white pickups, we get to our bridge. This is the PW branded version that they were using at the time. And this one had an advanced plating incorporated tailpiece on it. Other than that, we just have this sleek black finish. Notice there is no poker chip on this guy. They omitted that just to kind of give it a cleaner look. But I really like the blue and white pinstriping on here. I don't know how I feel about this middle design. I mean, it's just kind of pinstriping, but I really love this whole border. Maybe that's why they decided not to give it body binding, because they kind of did in a way, because you get the big black outline right here. So putting black binding on this would have just been a waste. But you'll see the artist's signature looks familiar. Harris. That's the same guy that did the pinstriping on like the N225. And that was birthed at a very similar time as this guitar. And you'll also notice, stock from the factory, there is no pickguard present on here. Once again, likely because they had this whole pinstriping job done. So, it is a very visually striking guitar. As far as the body itself, I'm guessing it'll probably be about 2 inches. Yep, 2.01, so that is a full width body, whereas most studios are a little bit thinner than that. And the knobs, just typical speed knobs, nothing fancy here. Moving on from the body, we have a mahogany neck and a Richlite fretboard. And here we can see, if you really zoom in here, you can see it does indeed have black binding. Kind of a waste, but at the same time, you know, it's just a little bit more of a special feature here. I don't see anything crazy on the spec sheets as far as this goes, so 12-inch radius, 22 medium jumbo frets, all your standard stuff here. This one's actually in really good shape. If you want to know how to clean Richlite, all you have to do is take a damp cloth. We're talking put it in water, wring it out, and then use that to clean it. That is how Richlite themselves says how you should clean it. Now, if you accidentally put lemon oil on it once or twice, I mean, it's not going to hurt anything. But water is the best thing to use. No crazy scale lengths either, 24 3/4 inches. As far as our nut width, we get 1.67 inches. That increases to 2.09 by the 12, with a first fret neck depth of 0.85. Which beefs up to 0.95 by the 12. As far as the headstock goes, I think it would have been a nice touch if they would have pinstriped the truss rod covers on them, but it's just completely blank. And here you can see our truss rod's in good shape. The headstock definitely has that wide-looking modern profile to it, just as Les Paul model, and has the Gibson silkscreen logo just like a standard. So when you compare this thing to the price of a studio back in the day, it was kind of expensive, but it had a lot of beefed up features that it made sense. But if you compared it to a standard, it was like a steal. In my opinion, I don't think it should be called any of them. I think the studio branding of this thing really hurt it. And just in case you're curious about my locking tuner, I found it funny. The Guitar Center guys, they couldn't get that tuner to work, so they just wrapped it up like normal and did the other tuners locking it. So I took it off, and I think they just had the string in there wrong or something, because once I had that out of the guitar, it worked perfectly fine. So that is 100% functional. I'll get that put back on here. Moving on to the backside. Nothing too crazy back here. No like comfort cars or anything. It's just a big chunky Les Paul body. You can see as far as condition goes, there are a few light impressions on this one and just lots of the typical polishing swirls and scratches if you are interested in buying this after the video's done. You can check it out on my website or on reverb.com. It's cheaper on my website though. But here we can see the PCB system, all the quick connect wires. So say you don't like the hot pickups, it'd be pretty easy to replace them with something else as long as you get the quick connect wires or you solder these onto your new pickups that you want. But we've got the orange drop caps within this and the Gibson branded pots. Moving up here, just a regular toggle switch. The back plates are the style that have the built-in shielding to them. They've got the texture to the outside of them. Kind of an interesting shortly lived part. Sometimes there's issues with these where you actually have to ground them off on the back side anyways, but most times you're okay. The output jack is located on the side as it usually is, and we've got the large style strap buttons that they were using at this point in time. It was Gibson's attempt at making you not have to get strap locks right away. They would kind of hold on to your strap a little bit better. And here's our neck. We need to go ahead and grab our profile. Definitely a C shape, 1st fret, 12th fret. I'd say it's kind of an in-between neck profile, closer to the 60s side in feel. And back of the headstock, tells you it's a 2014 model. Don't get confused because in this year they were using a year production number system, so no, it's not a 2010 because there's no 400th day of the year. That cuts off at 365 or 366 if it's a leap year. But the last spec that we have to capture on this guy is the weight. Just about an even 9 pounds. That's not too bad, all things considered. Let's go ahead, plug it in, and explore these pickups. Okay, let's go ahead and run through our tones. These pickups are definitely hot. I mean, this is my clean channel, and it sounds like I'm distorted. But of course, you can also roll down your volume, or you can just pick a little lighter. I mean, this is the exact same thing. But let's go ahead and start with our neck pickup here. Distinct difference. The neck pickup is nowhere near as biting as the bridge, but I think we kind of got that in the DC readings anyways. So here's a little bit of clean leads. I'll try it again with our volumes rolled about halfway off so we can get a little bit more clarity out of them. Now let's give these haps a try. So, in layman's terms, it kind of makes it a little bit more single coil-like, but not all the way. So full-on humbucker, you got that deepness to it. But this adds some of that spank and bite. Now I'll try it for the neck pickup too. gonna say it's like my favorite sound in the world, but it's definitely usable if you need just a little bit more biting attack on top of these already hot pickups. No wonder they call this thing a hot rod. Let's try it with some distortion. Feels weird to say that when, you know, it already kind of felt a little bit overdriven just because of how hot they are. So I kind of have a love-hate relationship with Gibson's 496R 500T series pickups. Like, I think they sound fantastic in oversized baritone guitars, like the Buckethead and the Baritone SG. But whenever they're in a regular size guitar, they just seem way too hot for my own personal preferences. It's either that or I just don't have the right type of amp setups or skills to really bring out what these pickups can do. So what I can say is if you like really, really hot sounding pickups, these are the choices for you. If you don't like that and you still like this guitar, it's not that hard to swap in some more traditional PAFs into it. So Troglodytes, I hope you enjoyed checking out the Les Paul Studio Hot Rod with me today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will catch you tomorrow on the next episode. Take care.